you're ready, Darius.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darius Shanfar, and I am the Treasurer and Chair of the Finance Committee of the Albany Industrial Development Agency. I hereby call this meeting to order. All right. Our first order of business, Sarah.
Sure. Before we take the minutes, I do want to introduce Amy Horwitz, who is with us today. She is our new executive assistant. This is her first full week, so go easy.
God bless you.
We're very excited to have her on board. She's learning everything that there is to know about all three organizations that we work with here. Comes with strong experience, and she's just delightful. So you'll be seeing her in your inboxes and here at all the meetings as well. So welcome, Amy.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So for our quorum today, we have Lee Eck, we have John Maxwell, Elizabeth Staubach, and we have Tony Gaddy joining us online. Again, I'm Darius Shanfar, and our first order of business is the roll call and the approval of the minutes. So the minutes haven't been previously distributed. I'd ask for a motion to dispense with the reading and accept them as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good work,
So it's Liz and Lee.
Next order is the report of Chief Financial Officer, but since this is the beginning of the year, we don't have a report. And as for unfinished business, we finish our business here, so we don't have any unfinished business here today. But as for new business, we do have Indus Pad Flair LLC, discussion of possible positive recommendation public hearing resolution. This is a request, I think, for mortgage and sales tax exemptions only. So, take it away.
Thank you. I will give a very brief introduction of the project and turn the floor over to representatives of the project applicant team. The project in front of the committee today is the new construction of a 75,000 square foot warehouse facility, which is inclusive of 5,000 square feet of office space at 38 Corporate Circle, which is an industrial zoned area off of New Corner Road of Albany. As Darius noted, the request at hand is for sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions only. And with that, I will turn it over to Katie.
Hi, folks. I'm Katie Kemp with Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah. I believe we have the applicant's principal, Jatender McCarr, joining over Zoom. I just wanted to give him an opportunity to jump in if he has anything to say before we start.
Sure. Hello, everybody.
Good
morning to you. Good morning. We are very excited about this project. It is actually a subdivision of very old historical projects in some ways on 38 Corporate Circle. Which we are subdividing the land to expand and build a standalone warehouse. FYE, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, was acquired as a company in 2020, and they became our tenants last year. We took 2021, late 2021, we acquired the project, and they became. They decided to stay instead of move out of the facility and find a new home. So we made that possible for them because they needed to find a home in case they didn't have somebody who would keep them in that location. So we stepped in to save the jobs for the city as well as the employees that had worked diligently and for several decades, and they had been part of that infrastructure and company. And so we are excited about that, and we were able to keep those jobs, keep that campus filled. So just to give you a brief history, the company came to us in Massachusetts to see if they could relocate over there because they were looking for a new home, as the current ownership did not want to keep them there. So that's why I say we stepped in to save those jobs. Now it is a moment to help them expand and grow. And that's why we are proposing this facility next door, which will be a campus-like setup for them. they can have their corporate team at one location serving both facilities, and they are basically bringing in additional business to the city. So we are excited about building this warehouse, and hopefully we will get support from you in making it possible. The costs of doing business have gone up very, very significantly in last 1.5 years. The mortgage cost alone has more than doubled, which is a very big factor. Cost of materials and labor also has jumped very significantly. As you all know, inflation had created havoc for construction industry. So these tax abatements are very critical for us to make it possible to build this. We are in extremely tight budget, and that is why we are here to seek these abates from you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jitender. Andy, can we switch back to or Emma, can we switch back to the renderings, please? Thank you. Just to give you folks a few stats on the project, it's a 75,000 square foot warehouse. It consists of the 70,000 square feet of the warehouse space and 5,000 of office. As Jitender mentioned, the proposed tenant is the retail entertainment company, FYE. They currently have approximately 45,000 square foot of warehouse space at 55 Commerce in Albany. That space is not suitable for their needs anymore. As Jitender said, they were looking for additional space. And we know that they conducted a very thorough search for already existing warehouse space, and we're not able to find any in the city of Albany or a 50-mile radius of their current location. So with that in mind, they were looking at construction and saw this available spot next to their headquarters. Locating there, this new space would allow them to both expand their warehousing and distribution, as well as just the efficiencies of being located directly next to their headquarters. So it truly is an ideal spot for them. As Jitender said, their project costs have increased significantly over the last few months. For that reason, this project will not happen without the IDA's assistance. And as you'll know, the applicant's looking for a mortgage recording tax, and the value of that is $89,175, as well as sales tax exemption of a value of $256,000. FYE is looking to retain 22 full-time jobs that they currently have in Albany. That includes 1 management position, 4 administrative positions, and the rest are the servicing sales clerk jobs that will be moved to the new location. FYE will also be creating 13 new process clerk positions at the new location. Just to touch on planning board status, Dan Hirschberg is handling all of the applications before the planning board, as well as several variances before the ZBA, and they anticipate approval as well as a neg deck at the next meeting next week. I think with that, we'll turn it over to the committee for any comments or questions.
Any issues with building the Pine Bush?
I know they identified on the EIS, of course, the Carter Blue and Elfin butterflies. There's no bluefin flower in this location, so it's not really suitable for habitat for those species. So no mitigation measures were identified or requested by the planning board.
Are you up in arms about it?
No, not that I know of.
No. You also have any questions?
To provide some framework for this, we haven't had a new application in a little while, and so typically we will introduce the project and move forward. We have historically, a board looks at sales and mortgage recording tax exemption only requests in an expedited manner, as opposed to going through a suite of 3 meetings. We have been able to, in recent history for all recent applications, be able to move those forward at a clip of 2 meetings, and so to move forward with a public hearing resolution and then look toward a consideration of approvals next month. So that is something available to the board today if it seems pretty straightforward. From staff perspective, it is straightforward. We can check with planning on those same issues as well, and have no concerns from a staffing perspective.
And given that this is something that will not happen without our involvement, which is what we've been informed, correct? Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions? So I would take a motion to move this favorably, the positive recommendation for the next,
For a public hearing.
for a public hearing, yes.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
You can hang out for the rest of the meeting if you really want. You don't have to. You won't be hurt. Agency updates.
So I do have a handful of things here, and I have a pretty robust compliance update, not anywhere near as robust as it will be next month, so get ready. But quickly on the agency update, I do want to remind the group that the EDC, the Economic Development Council of New York State, is hosting their annual Economic Development Conference coming up the first couple days in March. The City of Albany IDA is a sponsor for that event. We do have one complimentary ticket. We also have traditionally registered as many individuals as would like to attend that. There'll be some good keynote speakers at that, as well as some training opportunities. The agenda is up on the website now. They're adding more daily. But if you'd like to be registered for that, please reach out to Amy, and we'll put a list together of both board and staff to take advantage of that training opportunity coming up here in the next couple of weeks. The EDC is not only good for training opportunities, they are also the statewide advocate for economic development organizations and IDAs in New York. And so I'm fortunate to sit on that board and also to sit on the EDC. The EDC is tracking this legislative session and bills that have been introduced or are anticipated to be introduced that relate to industrial development agencies. There is one that passed the last session and is waiting for the governor's signatures on notification to school boards. As you know, we already notified the taxing jurisdictions, including the school district, of decisions made here at the agency. This bill takes it a step further to notify the school board as well. And the language that had been talked about last year was modified for the final bill so that it's not individual school board members, it's the school board clerk for the school district. It's also not a certified mail notification that needs to be sent out. It's a read receipt email that'll go to that group. That hasn't been signed yet. There's some confusion over whether that would retroactively take effect for the first of the year or not, but we're going to start doing that anyway. We'll add in the school district clerk to our notifications of any approvals here right away. So we'll take care of that and implementing that. We will need to pass a policy eventually once the bill is signed or modify our notification policy to include that as well. And so you'll see that come in front of you in future meetings. There are a number of other bills that are being tracked. There's 25 or so that have been reintroduced from last year. There's one that will be the subject of a press conference later today, seeking to remove the ability for IDAs to abate school district taxes in their jurisdictions. And so you'll see that come out in the news a little bit later. We've provided and we'll be providing additional statistics related to just the local example of our organization and how our projects have positively impacted the revenue to those taxing jurisdictions to dispel some of the myths
Then the
around
schools
that.
will basically have to opt in.
I believe what they're looking for at this point is just to not allow it, period.
Really?
And so that is something that we're watching and actively engaging in at this provide data on what we do here. For that, because we have positively benefited our school district from a revenue perspective with the projects that we have, and luckily we do an amazing job tracking all of that, thanks to Andy. So we have some really easy to handle data that we can get over there. We also have historically analyzed the operational impacts as well as the tax impacts on the taxing jurisdictions to show that even if we were the most aggressive we could be with our pilots, which we are not, we're still not negatively impacting the school district or the other taxing jurisdictions. So we have that backup.
This could prevent any projects from being done in the city.
Here in Albany, the school district is the
It's
largest.
60% of the taxes.
60% of the taxes. So that is a significant issue. Lobby directly. The EDC is gathering information from IDs across the state for that. There are a handful of others. Like I said, there's 25. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are head scratchers, frankly. And so we're working with that. Once those start to get a little bit more baked in this session, I'll bring back more information right now that we're going through with those. So that is the legislative session on the state front. I did want to let the Finance Committee in particular know that on Monday, the Common Council did approve the new inclusionary zoning policy, which significantly increases the requirements on new projects for inclusionary affordable housing units within the project. We did, as you all know, we provided quite a bit of data, and we went back and forth with Councilmember Ballerin, and to his credit, over a period of years, working through that, we, based on the data, are very concerned, particularly in the given in the current economic environment, what that might do to project finances as we come through. So it's good timing that we sort of know what will be out there to help inform as we update the framework here at the IDA. That will be a significant topic of conversation surrounding that. That being said, we do have some draft applications that we're getting in. We're hopeful that those continue to move forward and working on those. So you should see hopefully some increased activity, and we'll see what the implications are there. Lastly, just very quickly, our grant application over at Capitalize Albany for small businesses. The first phase of that is due this week. If small businesses don't get in by Friday, they can't access the program. We were flooded with applicants for that program. We most certainly are going to be oversubscribed, and so it will be a competitive process to come through. It's a really phenomenal response from the small business community, but that deadline is Friday. If anyone, that's it on agency update.
Compliance update. How compliant are we?
I'm going to turn it over to Andy to give an overview of where we're at with the Paris reporting for fiscal year, calendar year 2022.
We're getting there.
All right.
So to just back up and give just an overview of the compliance process, shortly after the first of the year, agency staff reaches out to every single project beneficiary, both straight lease bond as well as the CRC, requesting the data that we are required to receive. We then spend the majority of January kind of waiting for that to come in, and then after the due date, really chasing down anybody who hasn't been able to get that to us for a myriad of reasons. What you see in front of you now that Amy is passing out is our in-house tracking sheet that helps us keep everything straight. Emma has contributed immensely to getting this tracker to where it's at currently. A high-level overview of where we're at. This is just straight lease projects. There are 72 of them. As of this morning, we had 63 of the 72 in and reporting in at least a draft form, so that's about 87%. And of those 63, 51 were reporting at or above the 80% threshold of jobs. Anyone who's not, you'll see a column that says percent of committed in a light red. Some of those projects, only 5 of those projects are actually subject to recapture provisions that went into place in 2016. A good portion of these are older projects, but nonetheless, we meticulously follow up with project beneficiaries to figure out why there was a shortage from the jobs that were originally projected to be created and retained. What we expect to do next month is to go through this line by line, project by project for both straight lease and IDA and CRC bonds. We will hopefully have the majority of projects in reporting, so it should be somewhat quick. But we do go line by line, and if there's any questions or any concerns whatsoever, if staff cannot address those at that moment, we will go back to the project beneficiary and get answers.
So this sheet really is, these numbers will certainly change by the next time you see the next draft of it at next month's suite of meetings. We are hyper-focused on jobs reporting. Obviously, as an industrial development agency, you will note that many of these projects are multifamily residential projects, and the rationale for the board's approval was more on the community benefits side than on job creation. However, this is what gets reported in Paris. We really want to ensure the projects are meeting the commitments beyond the jobs, but also know what's happening with the jobs. So we'll have those answers back for you then. But if you do have questions as you go through this in draft form prior to next month, please reach out ahead of time or compile your questions for the meeting. But know that these numbers will certainly change by the time that you see them next month, because we're getting new information in every day.
All right. Any questions, comments, anything? Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I like the way you
I'm
talk.
stealing your move there.
But is there a second? All right, I guess, if we're all in favor, aye. We may adjourn, so, I now move for lunch.
Good luck.